Neil, it's great to be here.
Oh, it really is. This is, as you say, a proper match. Two great players. And it really is. I've spoken to a lot of people who have very different opinions on this match and how it's going to pan out.
Okay. The first frame, Judd Trump to break.
And completing the greatness, two great players and a world-class referee in Paul Collier. Doesn't get much better than this.
John is making a habit of being here on the final Sunday. It's the third tournament in a row he's done that. A lot of people saying, well, he's lost a couple of times, but at least he's been in the finals. He's won all those matches. He's battle-hardened.
One.
And of course, there is the chance that last night into this morning when the match actually ended, taking the edge off him, but he's been around, he's been in matches like that before. He knows what's required. He can feel weary when he wakes up tomorrow morning. The adrenaline will keep him going. Wow, what a shot. I mean, really, I can't think of a more confident shot that anyone could play at the start of a match. He didn't have to go for it. He knows he's leaving something. The pot was extremely missable, but he wasn't thinking that way. Great shot.
Four.
Yeah, I think possibly on seasonal form, Higgins we know is there, we know he's ready. With Judd, we kind of think he's ready. Form this week has been good. He hasn't had opponent play well against him. But ultimately he is a champion, so on the day this is a very difficult match to call. One to savour.
11.
Just beautifully played once again with a trace of right-hand side, which takes the cue ball back down towards the black. He could not have seen it played better.
Picking up an identical thread of excellence from last night in the decider. Cracked in a red from distance, potted a really pressure black. Went on to make 89, the joint highest break of the match, to win it. Here, red from distance, that lovely yellow, and now occupying prime position.
I think about last night, Bill, Yan Bingtao is becoming as difficult as anybody in the game to play against. He just makes things very hard. He's as tough as they come. Great safety, great patience. In the end, John Higgins found a way, but he had to dig very deep
20.
to get there against the player that nobody really wants to play any longer. But he came through it unscathed. This time, unless the red somehow goes to the middle, which seems pretty unlikely. A little
27.
shake of the head I can notice from John suggests nothing's there. No, there's no way that red goes. So it's a good split, but they didn't really open up. And I suppose if John could have had it again, he wouldn't really want to go into the reds with so many in the open play already. He was doing it to control the cue ball, but the reds were spread far and wide.
John Higgins, 27.
It's where Judd Trump can be extremely dangerous, because there are reds that pot here, and leaving him attempt to is not a great idea, because he's often tempted and he knocks them in. However, not playing anything to the left middle. Didn't play to pot that either, just tried to play the safety shot. There's always a worry on shots like that, when the reds are running a little loose, out of complete control, that one might go over a pocket, but it didn't happen. For a second I think he was a little concerned. This could be that Judd can get through to the long red, but just passing the yellow, but it's of course not easy. Great traditions in this tournament, Phil. All but last year when Mark Allen won it, who is of course a great player himself. Much missed along in this year's version, but it's always been won by a world champion, isn't it, this, apart from them? And it'll happen again.
Yes, Higgins trying to become the third player to win it on multiple occasions. After Ronnie O'Sullivan and Neil Robertson, Judd Trump wants to add this trophy, one of the few that have so far eluded him.
One.
And now there's a serious likelihood that Trump's 16-frame winning streak will end. It's certainly in grave jeopardy.
Certainly a good red that he potted, because I think Trump was happy enough with the outcome of the missed pot that he played. It's not one of his best shots. I wouldn't expect John to miss this, but he knows he should be further in behind it than he is. And that does sometimes just play tricks on the mind. Shouldn't be there. Little nudge on the red was not planned. And because of that, he's broken slightly out of position again, although
11.
He may be able to get through to a red to the left corner. Yeah, that red taking up to the bulk end of the table for his next colour. So back in complete control again.
We were quite right to highlight the fact that in recent meetings Trump has had the upper hand between these two, but the fact remains
16.
In multi-session matches, 2 or more, Higgins leads 3 victories
17.
to 2.
Yeah, the fact they've both beaten each other in the World Championship final, Phil, almost shows the pedigree of the player and the kind of battles they've had in
21.
the past, doesn't it?
Well, when Trump beat Higgins, that was, in terms of quality, indisputably the best World Championship final ever.
$22.
Unbelievably, in that match, they combined for 11 centuries, the most centuries by 2 players combined in any match, anywhere, anytime.
The right-hand red of the 4 is potable from that camera angle you saw. The one below it, not so.
29.
Although the left-hand red will go to the opposite middle pocket if you're thinking along those lines. He'll need another red after this black goes
30.
in, so he might play on that left-hand red of the 3. Just trying to see if the top red of the 3 goes anywhere. Certainly not to the right corner. We spotted that a moment ago. Well, he found out that it does go to the left corner, so a very convincing start, and if this red goes in, which we expect it to, then
37.
he'll be winning the first frame, all right. A few more to come as well in this break.
38.
Hasn't missed a pot he's gone for yet. He's 100%. 22 out of 22, so never mind the match finished in the small hours of this morning. John's come out looking pretty solid again, hasn't he?
45.
He's kind of carried on where he left off because he made a great break in that deciding frame.
46.
Trump is going to lose his first frame since the opening frame of the entire tournament against David Lilley. And that means Higgins has got one up on Trump, because when he won the Players' Championship
52.
last season, he won 17 frames on the trot. 2 6-0s to start, then he led the semi-final 5-0.
$53. $60. $61. $68.
I know the frame was well and truly secure, but what a shot that was.
69.
And by taking the brown, he has the opportunity just to make a century.
73. John Higgins 73
No
on the
century,
frame.
but what a start from John Higgins in this Kazoo Champion of Champions final. Battle lines are drawn and the Scot is off to a flyer.
More great drama. That's a big...
The second frame, John Higgins to break.
It was a late finish last night, but the vast majority of seats were still filled after midnight as this man, John Higgins, just about reached the final. Can he go all the way? Bear in mind that he was within a ball of defeat against Ding Junhui in the first round, but Ding missed quite a straightforward match ball red, and now Higgins has gone from strength to strength.
There's no doubt that John did not play well in that match at all, and really did struggle. But with 2 matches in a day, what he did so well, I thought, was pick his game up very quickly for the match against Ronnie O'Sullivan the same evening. Now, if you're not playing well against a Rocket, you're in trouble, aren't you? But he did play a different man in the evening. I think that's also the mark of a champion, isn't it? Had a lifeline, hasn't looked back, like you say.
Huge financial stakes today, £150,000 to the winner, and of course the first invitation to next year's Champion of Champions.
Oh, a couple of times Judd searching for a way into the frame. I read to the middle that he missed, and then that double. looking to stay aggressive. Of course, he hasn't troubled the scorers yet. And potted a ball. It's a long match though, isn't it? It's a good match. Best of 19, first to 10. I think one of the... We've had, as I say, John's been in 2 good finals already, but this is one of the first real big matches of the season. I'm not taking anything away from the home nations. They meant a lot. A lot of short format snooker, but this is the real thing.
As you know, these two are no strangers to silverware. Trump is trying to reach the situation where he lifts his 33rd professional tournament trophy. Higgins hoping to capture his 53rd pro title.
I think what champions do, Phil, is they not only win, they win again and again. They're great players in any sport, not just looking to win something for a single time, a world championship, a Masters, a champion of champions, a UK. They look to win them at time after time. Stack up the numbers.
I thought what Trump said in his interview with Rob Walker was revealing. He's lost in the final of this tournament before, and he said, I want to avoid that feeling. That's a big motivation for these guys. Not so much the euphoria you get when you win, but the devastation when you lose. You want to try and swerve that.
We already get the picture. This is one of those frames. Red's drifting down the table. First opportunity is usually a very good one from here. There's a lot of reds close at hand, but getting there, getting that opportunity is the hardest part. I think the key is always to play your safety shots and get them underneath the black cushion as much as you can, so that opponent can't play the little screw shot back to the same area. That's what Johnny's trying to do. Buried under that cushion he wants. Well, really, that's very good. It's hard for even someone like Trump to dig down on the cue ball and get back there here. Not impossible, but very difficult. Maybe it is impossible, I don't know. You have to really cue down on the ball here, on that right-hand red. He's looking to see if he's in an area at the other end of the table where things are safe, but there aren't many. Maybe tight on the bolt cushion wouldn't be so bad, but even then, how do you get there? trying to run the cue ball through here to avoid any double kiss. And that's what he hasn't been able to do. That was always the worry. Didn't know where the red was going to go after he missed it, if he missed it. Left him an easy shot, almost a Steve Davis 85 final black at the opposite corner of the table. Well, Steve overcut that one, didn't he? The rest is history.
1.
And I think after that, the break's history.
I think so. You can only assume he was just trying to stay on a bolt colour there, because clearly the blue and pink were never going to be accessible. So back to putting the cue ball under the cushion, and he's done it again. Almost exactly where it was last time.
Well, that improves the landscape. Blue and pink are now split apart, and there's another open red.
All eyes on where the cue ball ended up there as soon as the red found its way in the middle of the pocket. Could have done with it stopping a little bit short of that. Doesn't appear to be missing anything much, does he? Certainly not long pots. He's got decisions here. He did look at tickling in behind the yellow, and now he's decided on this. He always saw the replays, definitely looked at the yellow once, landed behind it, but there's a big area to cover. I think there's a red on the right side, he'd have to cover that. How's he going to cover them both? He's right in behind this.
Well, Higgins 1.
I mean, John's got a long backswing to play a little delicate shot like that. I never know how he does it. He'll be bringing the cue back shortest possible distance, if you could, to play in behind there with such delicacy.
And now Trump is in a spot of bother here.
It's a great effort, but I think it's going to be going back again.
Foul and a miss. John Higgins 4.
Just showing you, John's shot was very difficult, but he brings the cue right back to the thumb. I know his bridge was a bit shorter, but goodness me, it looked for all the world it was going to finish short. A heart-stopping moment, but in just reaching the yellow, he's put Judd Trump in all sorts of trouble here. The only good news, he's kind of got the line. He's going to hit it maybe with a bit more pace. And sometimes more pace changes the line. However close he gets to it, it's going to keep going back until he hits it. I don't know if he can go any closer to the top left pocket without hitting the jaws, and that will widen the angle.
Okay.
The same shot, 4 cushions. That's the problem, it just
Foul.
play it with more pace and it slides more. John might have a look at this one. Might think it's good fun sitting in his chair watching all these points tot up as well. Of course, we've seen players miss multiple times out of snookers. The record certainly comes into double figures of the same shot being missed and put back.
Well, Neil, the record is 16, and the player who was responsible competed in this tournament. Stuart Bingham.
Well, it's one thing giving a few points away, but when you're talking about 64 points, then that's too many, basically. That's the way I can describe it. Oh, something's gone wrong here. Well, just to sort of mix things up a bit, he hits the black. This is a worry, isn't it? I don't know if this shot's on, you know, Phil.
Well, the Bingham match was in Killarney in a PTC event. He had 16 consecutive misses in a frame against Jimmy White, and he won the frame. So there's hope for Judd yet.
Okay.
As soon as Judd played that last shot, he knew something was wrong with it. See now, this one, short of pace.
Foul and a miss. John Higgins 4.
I think it's going to be a long time trying to hit this. If he sticks with that route, and at some point he's got to say, look, enough's enough here. I'm going to have to take my medicine and go a different way, because the ball just keeps landing in the same spot.
Just to clarify the rules, if you can see a ball directly and you miss that on 3 consecutive occasions, that's loss of frame. But when you're in a snooker, well, you can just go on and on, as long as you are obstinate.
I just go back to the shot John played. It was just the perfect roll-up you'll ever see. It looks a simple shot, but it's not. You see, it just isn't there, is it?
Foul and a miss. John Higgins 4.
The angle is not there.
There is an instance where he wouldn't be called for a miss in this situation. Is when Higgins is so far in front, Trump would need a snooker.
Well, that would be a long way off, you'd think, wouldn't you? This has got a chance. It just managed to get some angle, but again, it's not happening.
Foul and a miss. John Higgins 4.
John's going to come out of his chair. I suppose he'll end up playing this if it goes. Now he's got to make a decision, because clearly Judd was going to play that shot indefinitely and probably never hit it. But John decides to have a go himself.
One.
I think Judd Trump was beginning to feel like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day at one point there. And that's in February, of course, not November.
Well, he's in a world of trouble, wasn't he? And whichever way you look at it, Johnny's taking advantage of that.
6.
Worth mentioning, poor old Judd still hasn't potted one ball yet. Seems to me that the
7.
match last night with the Iron Man of snooker, Yan Bingtao, has made him even more resolute, if that was possible, John Higgins.
$14. $15.
Well, it's a dream start for Higgins. Normally when you get to 52, you're getting very close to wrapping up a frame. But when a large number of those points have come in penalties, then there's still latitude, should you make a mistake, for your opponent to come back and steal it.
22. $23.
Well, he did the right thing, didn't he, John? Easy to just sit in your chair watching all the points coming to your name on the scoreboard, but really, he knows he's still got to pot balls to win. Don't know where all those escapes were going to end up, but it's not really John's concern now because he's just looking to carve out a 2-0 lead.
30. $35. 36.
Well, normally, mid-70s, you're home and dry. Higgins, not quite yet. Not very often you see that graphic. 80 in front with 83 remaining.
Yeah, as you say, I think John had to double take the scores. It is quite unusual, but this is frame ball. Because, of course, there'll be 75 left when this is potted. For an opponent, anyway.
Well, 44.
We know it's a long match, but I have to say John has made a very impressive start here in all departments. Everything, all boxes are being ticked here. It's early on. They can do no more than this. Doesn't matter. He's way clear now.
49.
And there is a chance that Judd could carry on to get some snookers, but you know it's a slightly crazy looking scorecard, isn't it, in this frame?
John Higgins, 49 and the frame.
Trump remains in his seat. It has been superb from Higgins so far. Trump literally has drawn a blank.
More great drama, that's just the job.
Name of John Higgins is already engraved on the Kazoo Champion of Champions trophy, but he's not satisfied with one mention. He wants two. And the way he started suggests he's got every chance. This, of course, is a race to 10. So far, though, Higgins has been 10 out of 10. Plenty of support in the audience for him. And I think the second frame, Neil, was pretty much a microcosm of Higgins at his best. Tactical excellence followed by the fluency to take advantage.
No, you're absolutely right. It was a brilliant frame played by John Higgins.
Thank you. The third frame. Judd Trump to break.
Well, is we've mentioned, of course, in the past how recent matches, Judd has won the last 6, but for many years, Higgins was something of his nemesis, wasn't he? He beat him in a lot of big matches, big finals. Some of them from behind, as he did in Shanghai many years ago. So the recent dominance of Trump doesn't really add up over their careers.
Yeah, that Shanghai Masters final you talk about in 2012, I think on anyone's list of top 10 finals in snooker history, that has to be included. Higgins trailed 6-1. The only thing he did in the first session was make a 1-4-7, actually. But he came back to win 10-9. It was enthralling.
I suppose a slightly worrying moment with the double kiss cue ball heading into the bunch, but never quite enough pace on it for it to do anything. It's just a reminder for Judd, isn't it, what John Higgins is as a player. He didn't need reminding all those matches they've played, but he's not had a game against him recently, and now he needs to sort of recall what a fantastic world final he played against him, where he just attacked John. He was absolutely at the top of his game in that final, as Philip mentioned earlier. Judd Trump. I think what we know about snooker is that when a top player is at the top of their game, there's hardly anything that can stop them. We saw that with John in the Players, we mentioned that. I actually thought in the Tour Championship, Neil Robertson was that man. Okay, he didn't completely wipe players away, but he never had a particularly difficult match in winning that. So all these top players on their day are just almost unstoppable, and these two are like that. Well, that's a good way to pot your first ball.
One.
And I have to say, the cue ball finishing anywhere but there would have given him a follow-up colour.
Yellow ball. Judd Trump 1.
You know, when Trump played in the US Open 9-ball in Atlantic City in September, and he potted a ball like that on a pool table, that would have been something. On a snooker table, what a hot shot.
One.
Well, that is a very fine positional shot. He knew the cue ball could just run on and end up not on the black, so that was played almost to the millimetre.
Eight. Nine.
That's also pretty nicely played, because if he really does want to go into the bunch here, hitting the pink smack on, then really the Reds could open up to very promising positions, but he's given himself the chance for that to happen. Of course, if you knock a red in, it's unlucky, but he's just looking at where the Reds might go. If he knows there's a plant in there, then clearly he's not going to knock the Reds open at the risk of playing a foul shot. So he must think that something is heading for the right corner. And he looked at it anyway. Why he played it so gently? I think he fancied that it was all going to go crash down around him there.
14. Fifteen.
Wow, look at the Reds, gone in all directions.
20.
He obviously shifted the possible plant when he just nudged them the previous time.
He could have dropped better here. 3 viable reds, but nothing easy. Certainly not in terms of position.
No, this is the awkward part, isn't it? The awkward queuing on that red line cushion. The red to the middle, I don't think is landing in behind a colour very easily. So you're absolutely right, Phil. It's a bit unlucky there. And if he has to play the one up the table, then he's unlucky not to have an easier shot than that.
Foul.
I must admit, I'm just saying it, I thought it looked in enough.
20, John Higgins.
So I'm surprised he went through with the shot. Can't do anything to stop the cue ball because you can't use anything but topspin. He was unlucky there, all things considered, with opening of the bunch.
Well, I was thinking before he played that shot, he's been knocking that kind of red in with great regularity. On that occasion, nowhere near.
Yeah, the problem with these shots as well, Phil, he hit them too thick, then nothing goes where he expected it to. The cue ball doesn't go far up the table, the red goes further up the table.
Six. Seven.
That'll annoy him. He might have to play a recovery shot here, quite a big shot, which he didn't really want to have to play.
Blue ball.
But the blue is going to have to go in. Just looked away there, as if something may have briefly distracted him away from the table. Dear. Well, I hope it didn't distract him,
Judd Trump,
whatever
7.
it was, because it was a big shot, and now all of a sudden, John's back at the table, and he's only 24 points behind, and Judd seems to have done quite a bit of work in this frame to just get that little lead.
There was something because the referee looked in exactly the same direction.
One.
Now this really helps the break building process.
Eight. Nine.
Well, it's a long match, but it feels quite a significant frame because Judd Trump clearly needed to win it. Played a few good shots to get himself into a position, but not a strong enough position, clearly. If John was to win it, And, well, he could be looking at getting himself into a lead. Taking the match almost away from Trump this afternoon. Don't expect
13.
that to happen, but of course it could.
It's tight, but the red will pot. Freeing up the black into both of its natural pockets, Neil.
14.
I think the thing about snooker is that you accept your opponent is going to play a brilliant frame, knock a red in, make a century. You don't mind. It's just one of those things. But it's the frames that you're in the position to win that you don't that really are the most significant ones. Trump was in twice in this frame. Got a bit unlucky. May have got distracted on the second opportunity.
21.
I don't know, but it doesn't help you out there when these things happen. Especially when you didn't want a frame.
22.
Never really settle in until the frame's on the board. Lots to think about when you're in your chair. Judd had missed a blue. He got up from the shot on one occasion. I get a chance to show
29.
you in a minute, but it's one of those things that can infuriate you. So he got up from the shot once, and I think a little stare across, something just caught his eye. Hasn't cost him the frame yet, but it might do.
37.
Higgins just consulting the scoreboard. He's 13 ahead. That means he will need all three reds.
John Higgins, 37.
Well, we were right behind it, as you saw. That was absolutely never going to go in. Much too thick.
One.
Of course, the same applies to Judd as it did to John, in that he needs all of the reds and a little bit more.
Eight.
Slightly in between shots again, a little unfortunate. Pot it down the bottom into the yellow pocket, I think. Can't imagine he'd choose to play it in the middle. Even then, anything either way would have been a better shot. If he would just stopped in the one place where he's got more to do. I think he'd quite like an angle on the pink to move the other red. Somewhere about where he's standing now. So whatever's gone before, I think the next shot is the biggest frame, or biggest shot of the frame to date. Little flick on the red, and the frame likely to be his, I think. Didn't catch it right. He's a piece of the
15.
red, more so than that much.
Judd Trump 15.
Cue ball deep into bulk. Yes, that's one box ticked. But look where the red is.
Sure.
Oh, it was almost like you might call it a dead ball situation there. You can imagine the world champion Mark Selby with that red left. He would have probably played a better shot than Judd Trump. It would have been more threatening. He shouldn't have really left this red on from there. These situations can make all the difference.
One.
I mean, I'm assuming that he played the double on that last red, Phil. The question is, how many times is he going to get it?
7.
I think not 50-50 anyway.
Nine.
This clearance rendered a little more complex by the position of green and blue. But of course, off the blue, only needs to worry about potting it.
12.
Exactly. Needed the pink, it would be different, but you can just get in behind the blue and roll it in.
$16.
Well, the first two frames, Judd Higgins was very good, but for Judd Trump, this is the frame that looks like it's got away.
21. $27. John Higgins 34 on the frame.
Judd Trump didn't pot a single ball in the first two frames, but it will be the loss of the third that hurts the most. John Higgins leads by 3 frames to 0.
More great drama.
in countless tournaments around the world over the years. It's been a case of beware the reprieved man syndrome. As we said before, John Higgins.
John Higgins to break.
Sailed close to the wind against Ding Junhui, also against Yan Bingtao. But he got to the final, and now he's in control.
One.
Well, rolling up to the brown or any bolt colour kind of feels a little bit pointless, because just to escape from that would be very simple. They might try a different way. Well, it's better not to snooker your opponent on these. Might play the green into the bunch to try and attack. Yeah. That's what he tried.
Judd Trump 1.
Got everything. John Higgins, look at that shot. You're looking for a flaw in his game. Well, you're never going to find one. Anyone who plays John Higgins has got to play at the top of their own game to have any chance of beating him when he's playing like this.
One of the keys to Judd Trump's 6-0 semi-final whitewash of Kyren Wilson. He severely restricted Wilson's quality table time. Now the boot's on the other foot. And Higgins wants to keep it that way.
More of the same for Higgins. It's easy to sort of say he's come back a different player. We know he's on a fitness regime now, John. Say, well, this season's so much different to the past, but we will have to remember what he did last season in the Players' Championship. Lovely escape from Judd. But it's not like what John Higgins has done is completely transformed his game. His game was always there. I guess he's just thinking more positively. I said earlier, he's been in a couple of finals, he's lost them both, but he's been in the finals, so he's played well to get there. Comes here with a battle-hardened game.
One. Five. Six.
Well, the green is blocking the yellow. The yellow's blocking the green.
Does the red go to the
11.
middle past the pink? That would help. Got more positional quality about it than the red below the bunch.
12.
Kind of at this stage in the previous frame, he was unlucky when he opened the reds all over the table and didn't have an easy pot, ended up going in off a red. He wants to get beyond that stage in a frame. A lot of cue power went into that. And cue speed, I think, to whip that cue ball around two cushions into the bunch.
17. That
was a very good shot, positionally.
$23. $24.
And now, even though the black is out of the reckoning, this is most definitely a frame-winning chance.
Yes, the pink and the red just next to
31.
it, lined up perfectly. There's a little bit of a kick there. The ball just jumped a fraction, didn't make any real difference, so
37.
we'll move on.
$38.
must say, when he came to the table, it didn't look like it was about to
43.
a chance that could take him towards winning the frame, but he's made this all happen. I think the shot when he went into the bunch around 2 cushions
44.
was the key. Generated a lot of speed on the ball, and it went into the bunch and opened everything up.
$50. $51.
Well, you're seeing here why Judd Trump is third on the all-time list of century break makers. He can produce something from nothing. Often.
$57.
Is there any colour with this red?
58. $63. Judd Trump 63.
Certainly a nice break, and it should win in the frame, although really could have done with that red going in and not have any possible comebacks from John. He needs a snooker. A couple of snookers, in fact. I don't suppose there's much chance until the red and the black are cleared. They're next to each other, because that's stopping anything really from John. So you might try and cannon the black out here, potting this red. What he tried. Really, things have gone from bad to worse as far as any getting snookers with everything safe. So I think this is a tough one for John to win, and much relief for Judd. Not to foresee any comebacks here. Trying to get the pink in play, but nothing's happening for once.
Trump just wants to put this to bed as quickly as possible. Go into the interval, have a debrief with his brother Jack.
One.
One thing they might want to discuss is how John is playing. You know, one thing he knows is that John Higgins, he's playing well. He's playing somewhere near his best. There's no signs of a hangover from last night. The only thing to discuss is his own game, because Johnny's going to be there all day, I think. Tough to beat. So he's got to raise his own game, which we know he's capable of.
$12. Judd Trump 12 on the frame.
Entertaining early exchanges. That's the story of this Kazoo Champion of Champions final so far. We shouldn't read too much into it. What we can tell you is John Higgins has made the better start and leads 3-1.
Welcome back. We're at the very early stages of the final of the Champion of Champions. Just the first mini session. Yeah. Ken and Alan enjoying this one alongside me, along with a sold-out Bolton Arena here. Doesn't look as though John Higgins has really suffered any hangover from that late finish against Yan Bingtao. He's had a good start, hasn't he, Ken?
He's had a very good start, yeah. He looks pretty fresh. And I think, in a funny sort of way, he'll enjoy playing Judd Trump much more than he would playing Yan Bingtao. It was very frustrating for him last night. Very, very slow, very methodical last night, where this is a bit more of an open game. And he sort of dominated the opening proceedings. I mean, he got off to a good start. Judd Trump hadn't put the ball in the first couple of frames, and he just did what he had to do.
And he's really upped his pace as well. I think with Yan Bingtao dominated that match. He dictated the pace of the match. 35 seconds a shot. John was taking 30 seconds average on his shot time. That's come right down to where he feels more comfortable.
Very much so. As we suspected, it was going to be a more comfortable pace of match for John. I think today he's only played 22 safety shots. Last night in the first 4 he played 122. So that's the major difference. He's been able to just settle into the match, and it's a nice match for John, as we'll see straight away. I was also thinking back to last night's match. Remember the green he missed first up? The first frame is massive. We might as well get straight into it, I guess. He's got a red into this the one pocket. It doesn't look an awful lot, but because it's the first frame, it's important that he gets that. If he doesn't, Judd gets on the high horse and off he goes with it. But the good start by John continues. He makes a lovely 73 in the end to settle himself in, and it's good to see him expressing himself. Little shots like that, pushing a red into the open, and the absolute ideal start. As I say, the first frame is always huge. Into frame 2, and he puts a brilliant long red to set this tickle in behind the yellow. Heart-stopping moment for John there, but it sets up the massive problem for Judd. This is attempt number 8. John refused a couple. Myself and Stephen were sitting upstairs thinking, oh, he maybe should have played a couple, but he's waiting to get his hand on the bed. 8th attempt, Judd makes that mistake. You'll see John with a hand on the bed now, so it makes the cut red to left middle a lot more straightforward. In it goes. And it wasn't a one-hit frame. He'd done it in, a little break of 49 in the end, but settled into the match beautifully, Ken.
Yeah, go into frame 3. Now, he's 2-0 down here. If he's 2-0 up, OK, there's a little bit of a disturbance in the crowd. He gets up off the shot, tries to set himself up. If he's 2-0 up, you fancy him to pot this. But when you're 2-0 down and you know if you're going to miss, you're going to leave John in, and that's exactly what happened. But I think, the shot that he plays here, Judd Trump, you cannot play this shot against the top-class players. He's going for a possible double here, but just a look at where he leaves the red. You cannot do that at this level. He's got to cut those shots out. John plays a wonderful shot here. He doesn't play it too hard because there's a possible in-off in the middle. But look how the pace he plays at that. Beautifully drops in and goes on to win the frame. Beautiful.
Yeah, in frame 4... Judd really needed something good to happen, and do you know what he delivered there? Because 4-0 down, yes, it's first to 10. You'd think, it's a long way from the match being gone, but 4-0 is not good news at all. But he really gets into the Reds nicely here, creates the opportunity, and winning the frame in one hit will carry him into the interval nicely, because he needed something positive to happen. He wasn't getting any table time, and actually he didn't put a ball in this match till minute 40. That's a long time out there.
Yeah, but we just saw in that frame there, you see why he's such a great break builder. Judd Trump still very much in this one. When they come back, we'll see the next 5 frames of the afternoon session. John Higgins has a 3-1 lead, but it's the best of 19 frames in this final. He's at the best of the open exchanges. He leads Judd Trump 3-1, 5 frames to play this Sunday afternoon. In the commentary box, Stephen Hendry is alongside David Hendon, but first here's Tahir Hajat to reintroduce the players.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the arena John Higgins and Judd.
But these 5 frames, very important. Judd Trump, I'm sure, will be looking to win this mini session. Still all scores possible, but important, of course, for him to win that 4th frame, get on the scoreboard. Promises to be, I think, a fascinating evening, but what is the position going to be at half-time? A lot of people felt John Higgins maybe tiredness would set in. Hasn't yet, after his late finish.
That doesn't do your confidence any good when you attempt to long pot and miss it by as far as that. These long double session matches, momentum plays such a huge part. Judd Trump, after winning that 4th frame, will be hoping to gain some of his own now in this final. For Judd Trump, that's a poor shot. Very, very rare. See him miss his target. A bunch of reds to open them up.
It's always been a fascinating rivalry, this one. Obviously, we've got a player who's been established for a long, long time at the top, John Higgins, and Judd Trump, who's, well and truly established himself now as a top player. Early on, Higgins had the edge, but Trump's won the last 6 meetings. Of course, that run started at the Crucible in that final in 2019.
I think Judd Trump, he likes to intimidate his opponents with his play. Very, very powerful presence around the table. The way he plays is very dominant, but he can't really do that against someone like John Higgins. Well, this looks woefully short.
Foul and a miss. Judd Trump 4. Back. Okay, Judd.
John, in the practice before they went out, he was so relaxed. I mean, he literally turned up about 15 minutes before, 15-20 minutes before kickoff. Judd Trump had been there almost an hour, and he just chatted as if he was just about to go out for a practice session, and actually never missed a pot. It's cueing beautifully.
Amazing to think Ding had that red to beat him, didn't he? 4-2 in the first round. It could all have been doom and gloom back home in Glasgow watching this now. Third final in a row, remember, for Higgins. Didn't quite get the job done in Belfast or Milton Keynes, but what it tells you is, in general, the game is very much happening right now. Put a lot of effort into losing weight during the summer, and that stamina must have been a help last night against Yan Bingtao. And may well be one today as well.
When John made it to this final, I was expecting a handful of centuries in this final between these two. Obviously, very heavy scorers in that department. It hasn't really happened yet. Kind of like the sort of opening rounds of a boxing match with both fighters sort of feeling themselves out at the moment. Yet to find that sort of heavyweight punch of a century break, as it were. I'm sure it will come. So much respect for each other, of course. Safety play has been pretty decent from both players, both above 70% the first 4 frames. Long potting hasn't been John's strength so far this afternoon. That was a nice one, and a nice bump in the middle pocket to hold for the blue.
Yeah, I spoke to him before the English Open final a couple of weeks ago, and said you've been in so many finals, is it still special to reach them? And he said it's more special than ever. And I guess that's because he is getting towards the stage where he doesn't know how many more he'll be in. But here we are a fortnight on, he's in another one.
7.
Said Trump was looking to win the mini session. Of course, that's exactly the same for Higgins. And if he does, he'll have a good lead coming back tonight. Just lost the cue ball here.
13.
Rather rueful look on his face as this white just carried on.
Well, that was a nice pot.
20.
Put himself under a wee bit of pressure there, but this next shot's not going to be easy, bridging over those reds to get on a colour. So we'll play out for pink to right middle. Black's not available to right corner. Don't want to flick any side on this. Easily missed. Yep, that's exactly what he did. Just flicked a wee bit of left-hand side, pulled the cue ball to the left. Missed it thin.
Well, the two reds on the left-hand side are covering each other, but Trump's got this one to the right corner.
That's amazing. It wasn't that shot that was a problem for John Higgins. It was a 2 shots previously, the very careless positional shot that got him into the trouble.
One.
He's won 15 of his last 18 finals, so that speaks for itself. And 2 of them he lost were both 10-9, one in this event to Neil Robertson, and of course last year again to Robertson at the UK on the last pink. So it tells you a lot about his self-belief, if nothing else. That when he gets to this stage, he firmly believes he's going to be the winner.
Ten. $11.
Yeah, he's just always been able to find an answer, whoever he's come up against. You know, it's a phenomenal strike rate in terms of wins in finals. Whatever players have thrown at him, he's been able to raise his game to an even higher level than theirs. He hasn't hit the heights yet so far in this final, or indeed I think this week, but still managed to get to the final, losing hardly any frames.
$19.
Yeah, this is now a different challenge, isn't it? He's behind, but of course it's a longer match, so there's a lot of time to make this up. Three years ago now that he won that Northern Ireland Open. He hadn't won a tournament for
24.
A year. That's when the great run began.
$25.
I think the line of 3 reds below the pink, I think the one closest to the black will go to left corner. Not sure if anything's available after this one though, so it's going to need an angle on the next colour
31
to bring the next red into play.
$32.
Now I want to kind of hit the 2 reds that are level. I want to kind of hit them both at the same time here. And I caught the first one thick. Is he okay? I think he's all right. He's got red to left corner. May have to play
39.
Using the rest or right-handed. Is the straight one available?
$40.
Won't need the 2 reds that are on the black cushion. Just make sure he puts black and the 2 open reds with colours, and you'll be safe in this frame. So keep that momentum going.
$47. $48.
Glance at the scoreboard tells him the pink puts him 44 front, so one more red. Higgins will require snookers. Things are warming up nicely here, aren't they, in this final?
54.
The thing in these longer matches is you quite often will get spells where one player's on top. Now, at the start of the match, it was Higgins. Right now, maybe it's going to be Trump's time.
$62.
Got to be mindful here of sort of in-offs or things like that. He doesn't want to be giving away cheap points. He'd like to kill it off with a century, of course he would.
Judd Trump, 62.
3 snookers needed.
One. No, that was a beautiful pot. Absolutely dead weight to stay in the black, and Judd may regret taking that red. It was very, very thin, and the cue ball was careering around the table. Maybe would have been better playing a tight safety shot. We'll see. 3 snookers, still a tall order.
8. John Higgins
has got plenty of practice in this playing the snookers after that match last night. It was the other way around, of course. Yanbing Tao in one frame were just putting him through all sorts of pain. But Higgins was up to it. Obvious thing to say, but do not leave the free ball.
Wow.
Well,
John Higgins, 4.
One of them. Yeah, now suddenly it just becomes a little bit more anxious for Trump. Well, that's one way to end it. Just pop the red. You could see Higgins was a bit annoyed he hadn't got the snooker. He spent a long time over the shot, didn't get the snooker. Even so, terrific pot. Well, all sorts could happen here in the next few moments.
8. $10. $13. 17.
I knew there'd be something in there eventually.
22.
Judd Trump, great entertainer. And most important thing for him is he's pegged Higgins back 3-0. Things weren't looking so good, but it's a long final this. Pink's gone in, by the way.
28. Judd Trump 28 and the frame.
Shaping up to be a memorable evening, I think. And John Higgins, he could still be behind going into it. He knows that. We've got 4 big frames still to come this afternoon. Higgins pegged back. He now leads 3-2.
More great drama. That's a big tick from me. Trust a Trader, sponsoring ITV4 Daytime.
TrustATrader.com. When your tenants have a burst pipe, superheroes crashing through the wall isn't going to help anyone. With Direct Line Landlord Emergency added to your policy, we're on it to send a rather super plumber and guarantee they'll use the doorbell. Your tenants call us, we call them, they're on the job within 4.
The 6th frame. John Higgins to break.
John Higgins won this trophy in 2016. Trump's twice been runner-up. No doubt it is a special tournament. It's got a different feel to the other events. Of course, it's for the winners of all the tournaments, plus this year we had to top a few above the rankings, mainly because of Trump, actually. He won 5 titles last season.
Touching ball.
course, a big day for the players and their families. You can see Jack Trump there on the right. And here some members of the Higgins clan. There's Denise and his mother Josephine, daughter Claudia. A nervous day, of course, for them, but they always descend on these tournaments when the fire's on.
Oh, misjudging the safety shot. Judd Trump, he's a little bit fortunate he hasn't left something easier than this for John Higgins. That cue ball could have easily made contact with the Reds after hitting the jaws of the right corner pocket. Tough opening red this. You've just lost 2 frames in a row. Bit of pressure on it. Trying to reassert yourself in the match. Yeah, it's just a wee bit of pressure on John. He would have known at 3-1 ahead at the interval. 5 frames to play. It was a great chance to almost break the back of this match in this session. If you could win at least 3 of these 5. As I said, Judd is slowly... The afterburners are warming up. You feel... He's going to go into one soon. He's just going to reel off frame after frame.
That's the danger, isn't it? That's what happened in that World Final. After a close first session in the evening on that Sunday, Trump played possibly the best ever session, the Crucible. It was like an exhibition.
4. Yeah, he was unplayable in that final against John. Nothing John could do. And that's what I was saying earlier about just answering questions that players put to him. He seems to be able to do it in every department, not just potting. Tactical game, break, but everything. He's got no weakness. The most important thing is he believes he's the best player in the world. That's almost the best asset to have, and he's greedy for success, he's greedy for titles.
10. $11. $18. $19. $24.
Well,
25.
Concentrate on the blue ball at the moment, playing pink and black out of commission. He's just, it'll be just in the back of his mind, how can I get this pack open? How can I bring the black into play? Start to run out of loose reds. May have an angle on this one now to bring more reds into play. And potting this red to left corner.
30.
Just sort of brush off the pack, the side of the pack. Take the cue ball back up the table.
$31.
You're almost a bit apprehensive about saying that Judd Trump's lost position because he has so
33.
much cue power. He didn't land great on that yellow there, but easily able to get the cue ball back in nice position
34.
for the red. Kind of stopped in his tracks there.
39.
Cue ball would have liked to have travelled another 2 or 3 inches. Let's see, wrong side of the red.
40.
Consequently, wrong side of the blue. The brown being off its spot helps here. It's a big gap to get in and out of balk using one cushion. The only slight problem is the reds are kind of available to the right corner. He wants to take the cue ball down the left side of the table, really, because that would give him a choice of 4 reds. The pink is the annoyance here. Yes, forced to leave himself a difficult red.
45.
Close to one. Played for the red above the black. Quite a way short. You can play this in a way, take the cue ball to the baulk cushion, maybe on the pink. Looks like he has just enough angle to take the cue ball down the left side of the table. Just say there'll be a choice of 3 reds, maybe even 4 to the right corner pocket. When he gets in this
52.
mode, he just never looks like missing.
$53.
Well, it's been far from straightforward. That black being tied up has been the issue. Still not there yet, but getting closer. Yellow puts him 55 in front, so another red and a colour should be enough.
But importantly, all off that miss from John Higgins.
55.
Really punishing him.
$56.
So as I say, this blue and Higgins will need a snooker. Cue ball has seen most parts of the table in this break, but key thing is the balls have been going in the pockets.
$61.
Obviously to his favour that the black is tied up.
Judd Trump, 61.
Yeah, Judd obviously doesn't want to give John the chance to spot 3 reds and 3 pinks, because obviously that red next to the black is be an excellent way of laying a good snooker.
One.
Yeah, he's got very little leeway with points, so he's tried to get the black into play. But now it's got to go in. And he's conceded. So
Judd
Trump,
one frame conceded, frame Judd Trump.
Certainly out of momentum in this final right now. He's won the last 3. With 3 still to play this afternoon, he knows he could still take a big lead into tonight.
More great drama? That's just the job. Trust a Trader, sponsoring ITV4 Daytime.
TrustATrader.com.
Comfiest things I have worn in my life. The Ultra Glide technology in between the legs feels amazing.
The glide between my legs, they don't wait up.
Made out of organic bamboo.
30-day guarantee.
All the packaging, guys, is compostable.
Get some now.
Is there a secret in your family history? Find out with exclusive records you'll only find online at findmypast.co.uk.
SIM-only plans? There are always so many
thing though is that Trump's won the last 3.
The 7th frame, Judd Trump to break.
And in that 3-frame spell, Higgins has started to make a few errors. But this is the interesting, I think, psychology of the longer matches, and we see it every year at the World Championship. At 3-0, Higgins is thinking, well, maybe I can get a big lead. Right now, the way it's going, he's thinking, well, I've got to win at least one of these frames to stay in touch. Obviously, he can still be in front himself, but all these thoughts are coming in as the scoreline changes. What makes it so fascinating to watch, I think.
Foul. And a miss. John Higgins 4. Right?
Yeah, it's going back. Paul Collier will do the necessary here. A word for the refs, Paul, Rob Spencer, Tatiana Wollaston, all done a great job. I thought particularly last night, Tatiana, of course, had that really long match, a lot of long frames where concentration was so important and did not put a foot wrong.
Yeah. John. You got it on there, Tatiana?
No, in fact, she's been called into action just to check. It's probably not far off, but they want to make absolutely
half a
sure.
ball closer to the cushion. Looks close enough.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Well, Judd knew if he missed it again, he would have had to play a different shot because he'd have been warned about the 3 miss rule. So the consequence of that, we overcompensated, got that way too thick. This is exactly what John Higgins wanted, an easy opener.
One.
Higgins made a 73 break in the first frame. It's his only real substantial visit so far. Oh dear. Not good signs.
John Higgins 1.
Well, he kind of took his eye off the pot there. He's so concerned about the cannon or the path that cue ball was going to take off the reds. He missed a, well, probably even an easier pink off the spot against Ding Junhui earlier on in the week. But that was a worrying miss. John Higgins and his supporters. That's just the sort of thing that Judd Trump preys upon. A little weakness he can sense in his opponent. He'll know that this is the time of the match where he can stamp his authority on it.
3.
Just wants to clear some of these reds away. They're sort of congested around that black spot area. So he's just formulating a plan in his mind. Oh, great accuracy.
10.
When he was a boy, Sundays were all about snooker. He'd be playing in various junior events around the country, particularly at Willie Thorne's in Leicester. His dad Steve would take him, and invariably they'd come home with the trophy. These days he's big enough to drive himself, but it might be the same result.
$15.
Doesn't really want to play for the black here, because when it goes back on its spot, it's going to be tied up. But
16.
He's taking the opportunity. He has got an angle. He could move that red that's just to the left of the black spot, still be on the red into left corner. This shot will open up the frame.
$23. $24. $30.
I think the black is available to right corner. He's just got to keep the cue ball low enough. He obviously can't be straight on the black, else you won't be able to pot it. Pink also available.
31.
Pink to right corner, but it looked like he was playing for blue and it's come up a little bit short.
Into the 90s on the pot success, but these breaks are sort of complex now. The last frame was the same, and it's reflected in his average shot time, 25 seconds. I mean, it's not long, but Trump's usually below that. But these, as I say, these breaks are taking some time to plot. Well, that was a nice shot.
37.
Open everything up now. So definite chance for Trump to take the lead. But the red stays out. That's a massive reprieve for Higgins. Trump got the reds open.
Trump 37.
Fancied him taking a 4-3 lead, but he's missed that one. That could be a really important pot in this match. John Higgins, remember, missed that pink, that easy pink last time he was in, and may not have got another shot, but he did. He got that one, he knocked it in. Let's see now if he can take advantage.
John Higgins 1.
Well, I'm not sure if he snookered Judd on the red over the corner pocket, but John will be furious after such a great opening pot.
One.
Yeah, this is what I was saying about the psychology of these long matches. You know, at 3-0, Higgins is looking to be in front coming back tonight. Right now, you fancy you'd settle for 5-4 down. Just with one more frame, at least then it's anyone's coming back. But he could be 6-3 down the way things are going.
Yeah, and so, hey, you've got to be superhuman not to let your mind drift to the fact you've lost the last 2 finals when you miss a couple. But long, long way to go in this match.
Nine.
Blue's in an awkward place for this next shot. On the green, anyway. Trump's got away with that miss then, it would seem. Let's see if he can avoid further errors now in this frame.
$14.
Yeah, that looks like the winning shot now. It's not quite over the line, but surely he won't falter from here. Higgins did falter, of course. Knocked in a great red, then missed that blue. And there's just a few too many of these errors in his game at the moment, for whatever reason.
$21.
Yeah, very important now, these last 2 frames for John Higgins. So
28.
He stays with Judd Trump in this final.
29.
As all the great champions, Judd Trump is a tremendous front runner. He won't let up when he gets in front.
36. 37.
So plenty for John Higgins to think about. He could still be in front, remember. There's 2 frames left, but he's lost the last 4, and he's making more errors than his opponent. Judd Trump then leads by 4 frames to 3.
More great
Very well supported here in Bolton. The crowd have enjoyed themselves, and they're enjoying an excellent final. 4-3, Judd Trump leading John Higgins. But you never know when you come to a new place what it's going to be like. It's a bit slow first couple of days, but it built up, and now not a seat to be had. They're entertained with the dance cam before play began. Not everybody was interested in that, but there were a few that were, very much so. Great to see people enjoying themselves. Of course, last year there were no crowds. That's the trophy they're playing for. 2 frames left this afternoon. 2 big frames, particularly you feel for Higgins, who led 3-0, has started to falter. But we know what he's like in adversity. We saw it last night against Yambing Tao. If anyone's going to dig deep, it's going to be him.
Yeah, he's done it his whole career, hasn't he? He just can never write John Higgins off in any match. But he's playing an opponent who is just a winning machine.
Now in this mini session, so since the interval, there's the pot success. Trump 96, and that's championship winning form. Higgins 61.
Judd Trump 1.
That was a better shot than it looked. It just looked like a simple roll up, but it was important that he covered the left side of the table for John Higgins' escape. Very fortunate. A complete mishit. That safety shot from John Higgins.
Yeah, at the moment he sort of looks like a boxer just hanging on for the points verdict. Needs one of these two. I mean, he can win them both, of course, but certainly needs one of them. I do feel, though, and Trump may feel it as well, there'll be a spell in this final where Higgins will start to put it together, and that's why Trump will be looking for this 6-3 lead to get a good cushion. We saw him struggle, didn't we, on Thursday afternoon against Ding, just got over the line, and then against Ronnie O'Sullivan in the evening. It was very impressive.
John might be tempted this red all the way up the left cushion to the yellow pocket, because he can leave the cue ball pretty close to the side cushion beyond the black. Wants to hit it hard enough so if he misses it comes away from the pocket. which he didn't do. Looked like he might have just pulled away slightly from the cushion.
One.
That was actually a pretty good shot. It's quite difficult when the object ball's right in the jaws of the pocket to get the cue ball out of there. He had to play almost like a stun run through.
Four. Five.
Well, I'll be really annoyed at that. Really will. He looks to be dead straight in the black, which means he can't get the cue ball away from that side cushion. For the red, it's below the black spot. He wanted the cue ball to be almost on the side cushion to give him some sort of angle to get close to the next red. Careless little shot that was. I did very well. Really forced that across.
12. 13.
There's a red just at the bottom of the bunch available to left corner, so you'll want to finish low in it. So you can pot it and take the cue ball into the reds, which he has done. You've just got to be careful with this shot.
20.
The right middle pocket can sometimes come into play.
$21. Judd Trump 21.
Well, that's one bit of success Higgins has had. He's caught whatever that was. No mistake in there, was there? Will not be joining us for the evening session. Well, okay, could have been left something, but the main thing is that Trump missed, I guess, from Higgins' perspective. Nothing he hasn't seen in a final, so, you know, this is not crisis time at any point.
He may just be forced the red that's on the right side of the table just to put that behind the black and leave the cue ball on that right side cushion. Be a pretty negative safety shot, but a lot of options. I'm not sure what he's looking at. A bunch of reds. He was obviously checking there wasn't a plant to left middle that he could leave for Judd. He's having a good look. Oh, surely John Higgins hasn't left Judd Trump this plant. He's pretty interested with it. No. Oh yes, he's gone back to look at it again. It's pretty close. Looks to be just heading to the left jaw of the pocket. If they're touching the two reds, it means he has to hit the opposite side to make the plant work. They need to hit the left edge of the first red to push the second red up the table to pot it.
One.
Yeah, that's an error from John Higgins, I think. Okay. Judd isn't nicely on the black here. But should he negotiate the black and get on a red? That was, I wouldn't say a gift, but an unusual safety shot from John Higgins.
Eight. Nine. Twelve. Thirteen. 20. 21.
So it's black to lead by 50. You'll need a couple more reds with colours. And then it sets up a big last frame of the afternoon.
28. 29.
You would hardly say that Judd Trump's been at his blistering best in terms of scoring. 360 breaks is all that he's had. But John Higgins has relinquished control of this final. He's had a poor second session.
Yeah, I mean, from leading 3-0, only one frame since then as Higgins registered double figures
36.
in a frame in terms of points. Well,
37.
He still needs this, otherwise Higgins could tie. And all the reds are in possible positions.
Yeah, in playing this black, he wants to get the cue ball over towards that left corner pocket as well. Should he miss the black, he doesn't leave the red over the right middle. Yeah, great putt.
44.
When you're on a roll, like Judd Trump is at the moment, you won 4 frames in a row, those blacks are a lot easier than if you just lost 4 frames in a row.
Judd Trump, 44.
So Higgins needs 2 snookers, otherwise it's 5-3. And of course Trump guaranteed a lead coming back tonight. The nod of the head tells you he's conceded. Got to steel himself for the last of the afternoon. It's still a close match, but the momentum clearly with Judd Trump. He's won the last 5 frames, all of them comfortably. So he's halfway to victory in the final, leading 5-3.
More great drama. That's a big tick from me. Trust a Trader, sponsoring ITV4 Daytime.
TrustATrader.com.
'Twas the season of cheer, and joy filled the town, except for Scrooge with his perma-frown. The gift of a Peloton bike did touch his soul. Riding fast, flowing proud, hitting his fitness goal.
You can do it! I'm doing it!
Was Scrooge a new man? Oh, without doubt. When your workout's a joy, it's a joy to work out.
I was diagnosed with having endometriosis. When you feel unwell, you turn to food to comfort you, and the pounds pile on. I tried many weight loss programs. Noom is different. You have these little quizzes which help you think of food differently.
Judd Trump leads John Higgins 5-3. There's the trophy. He's halfway there.
Thank you. The final frame
Big
of this
frame,
session. Judd Trump to break.
Of course, John Higgins can still win from 6-3 down, but 5-4, then it really is in the balance. It's hard to pinpoint exactly where it went wrong from 3-0 up, but that's all gone. He's got to focus on this frame now. Thing is, he has had chances, but his highest break since leading 3-0 has been just 20. That little lad there, he got a fist bump from Trump when he was walking up the steps to be introduced. He made his day.
Yeah, it's one of the best Higgins ever seen at doubles. It was a little bit, I wouldn't say it was pushing the boat out from Judd Trump to take that long red on, but it was a little bit loose. Into the pack here. Missed the pink. Couldn't hit it any better. How's your luck? Looks to have one red into the right corner, possibly. Quite a thin cut. Cue ball will be going into the other red. He's just so good at doubles. Can't leave him them. Obviously that one last night to the clinch victory against Yang Bingtao was an incredible shot as well. Oh, I didn't think he was on this one at first. This is a little bonus.
Six. Eight.
No grimace from John Higgins. Love that cue ball. Just to travel another 2 or 3 inches. Just to make it simple. Just to stun the red in for black to right corner. I'm not sure if the black goes to the left corner, so you have to come all around the angles back up for the blue. Well played.
9.
Could have liked to play with the yellow. A couple of cushions, maybe even 3 for the red that's on the black cushion to left corner. Just going to miss the blue. Perfect. Great shot.
11.
Just feel if he could not only win the frame, but win it in one visit. It's just reminding everyone, most importantly Judd Trump, of course, that there's still very much a final on here.
Yeah, it'd be huge for
19.
John to go back to his room, mid-session interval, feeling a lot more comfortable about tonight.
$20. $27. You keep still on the front row, please. $28.
Couple of options here. Can I come off the left cushion for red to right corner? You could just play a little cannon. Kind of that soft screw in the cue ball to cannon the red to, not the one directly above the black, the one to the right of that. Little cannon on that one. But you want to play any risky shots at this stage, but you could find the gap between those two reds. That'll be even better.
$35.
Perfect. I think both players actually this afternoon have, when they've gone into the reds to disturb things, very rarely have they come out, perfectly. The way the balls roll, that's probably one explanation why there hasn't been any real big breaks yet.
He's got this extraordinary skill, hasn't he, when the pressure's on, to just find something, keep himself composed. We saw it last night, we've seen it, well, for 30 years.
I'd love to have a cannon. The two reds to the right of the main bunch. Full ball cannon on the top red. Surprised they played cannon into pink.
41.
You're just going to watch the right middle pocket here with the cue ball. Yes, okay.
42.
Yeah, he seems to be able to find a gear from somewhere, John Higgins, when he really needs it.
$47. $48.
A long red at the start of this frame that Judd didn't need to take on. Looks like it may cost him his 3-frame advantage going into the second session.
Well, if Higgins can kill this off, it really does set it up nicely for tonight
54.
for the audience here in Bolton and watching around the world as well.
55.
Well, John has a laugh to himself, but he'll be irritated at that shot. He was hoping to nudge a little red out from those three. Needs another red. Should be no problem.
$62.
Give the pot everything here. If it goes in, then Trump needs snookers. Otherwise, it's 5-4 coming back tonight. He's done so well here.
63.
Really, because he's struggled since the interval. But John Higgins just seems to come good when the chips are down. He's done it his whole career. He's done it again here. And all right, this has gone wrong, but surely he's done enough to win the frame.
70.
Started with 73 in frame one. He's made
Higgins
70 in the last of the afternoon. An important break back just to stay in touch. John Higgins led 3-0. Started to make mistakes. Judd Trump won 5 on the spin. But it's John Higgins who wins the last of the afternoon. The final too close to call. Trump leading 5-4.